Everyone could please have a seat. The first meeting of the House Standing Committee on Local Government is called to order. Will the committee assistant please call the roll?
Representative Ballman. Representative Bray.
Present.
Representative Brown.
Here.
Representative Chester Burton. Representative Doan. Representative Fleming. Representative Freeland.
Present.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton. Representative Hart. Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Lewis. Representative Maddox. Representative Meredith. Representative Raymer.
Here.
Representative Rorks.
Here.
Representative Stalker.
Present.
Representative Witten.
Here.
Vice Chair Neighbors. Here. Chairman Flannery.
Here. It appears there is a quorum, so we are constituted to do business. Do any members have any introductions they'd like to make? It's 9 a.m. It's too early. No introductions. Looks like we do have several returning members, but we also have several new members to this committee. Looks like we have Representative Ballman, Representative Griffey, Representative Hampton, Representative Chris Lewis, Representative Maddox, Vice Chair Neighbors, Representative Rorks, and Representative Witten. Welcome, and we also have, looks like, several returning members. So welcome to this committee. This is the first meeting of this year. We have two bills on the agenda. We do have two bills. I'm going to go out of order and call House Bill 211, an act relating to cigar bars, sponsored by Representative Chris Lewis. If you could go forward.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, thank you for allowing me to be here today to talk about House Bill 211. My name is Chris Lewis. I'm a representative from the 29th House District. I allow my guest to introduce himself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anthony Piagentini. I represent District 19 on Louisville Metro Council, and I'm the Republican Caucus Chair on Metro Council. Pleasure to meet you.
So, Mr. Chairman, this bill originated from a constituent of mine who opened a cigar lounge in Louisville. And as a result of sort of watching the process that he has gone through, I decided to draft this legislation, and it's modeled after Tennessee's law. So I'll just kind of go through a little bit about what the legislation does. So it defines what a cigar bar is in the Commonwealth. And in particular, I would like to start off by saying what it does not do. This bill will not roll back any municipality's local smoke-free law. That's not the intention. And that's not what it does. So this is not about having a cigar in a regular bar or a bowling alley or a restaurant. This will not allow that. And in particular, to ensure that, in order to be classified as a cigar bar, you have to generate at least 15% of your annual gross income from the on-sale side of cigars, pipe tobacco, or cigar-related accessories. So that will ensure that no local bar or restaurant is really able to consider themselves a cigar bar and allow the indoor smoking of cigars. The bill requires that you must be 21 years of age in order to enter. There are no cigarettes or vaping allowed on the premises. A local government can require a permit, and I know most local governments already require the permitting for tobacco license. You have to get a state tobacco license, and most require a local one.
If I could interject for a second.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I believe we need to adopt the sub.
So move.
We have a motion and a second, so we need to, all those in favor of the committee sub, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. You can-
Motion on the bill.
I believe, I believe there are some people that have signed up to also speak on the bill, so you can continue briefly if you have more commentary on it, and then I want to give the other people that have signed up an opportunity to speak on this bill.
Yes, the only other thing I would like to add, we did go one step above even what Tennessee had done and require a smoke-free space for deliveries. So any deliveries or mail that are to one of these establishments will have a smoke-free space for those deliveries. Mr. Chairman, can I allow my guest to speak for just a moment? Or, yep.
Thank you, Representative Lewis. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. Thank you to the committee members. I'll be very brief, but I want to focus on a couple quick points. Number one, this is a very small business focused and deregulatory type measure, which I appreciate the opportunity to have. All of the constituents and organizations that have reached out to us, particularly, at least specifically in Louisville, are small business owners. And this is a great opportunity for small businesses to thrive. I would also point out the alignment with the lifestyle and the key industries that we also have here in the Commonwealth, and that being horse racing and bourbon. This is a beautiful alignment with these industries. And I can tell you specifically that there have been many, many instances where people are coming for the Derby, people are coming for these large events, and they are quite literally going across the river and doing business in Indiana when they find out that we have no venue whatsoever to enjoy a cigar and a bourbon in a venue like this. Appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much to Representative Chris Lewis for bringing this to your attention. Thank you.
To speak on this, I believe we have, looks like Doug Hogan with the American Cancer Society, if you'd like to come forward. If you two could introduce yourselves for the record and please proceed.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Doug Hogan. I am the Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, or ACS-CAN, here in Kentucky.
And I'm Michael Gieske. I'm a family medicine physician employed with St. Elizabeth Healthcare in Northern Kentucky, and I'm the director of the lung cancer screening program there.
And just very briefly, I'll start, if you don't mind, and Mr. Chairman, too, before we get too far in the committee. Congratulations on chairmanship for the committee. We appreciate your work, and thank you, all the members, for your service to our great state. ACS-CAN is the nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy affiliate for the American Cancer Society. We support fact-based policies designed to reduce the cancer burden for everyone. I'm here today to encourage a no vote on House Bill 211. Over the past 3 decades, local policymakers from 44 cities and counties across Kentucky have responded to constituent requests to enact smoke-free ordinances locally. And the decision on any smoking ordinance should be a local one. And so that's one part of what we feel like. Yes, Representative Lewis, the bill will not roll back all elements of the 44 smoke-free ordinances, but it does roll back some of those and provide local government officials with no authority to stop what may be described as a very loosely designed cigar bar, which would allow indoor smoking. There's a number of statistics, and I'm sure that some of you are aware of those, talking about not really being a difference between cigar smoke and cigarette smoke. There's also various data based on the fact that you can't really remove all of those secondhand particles from smoke. But basically, we just like to say that we do believe that House Bill 211 seriously undermines local smoke-free laws, negatively impacts the health of patrons, employees, and others who may just simply be in the same building as a cigar bar, and we'd urge you to vote no on this.
Thank you, Doug. As I mentioned, I'm the director of our lung cancer screening program at St. Elizabeth Healthcare. So I'm dealing with lung cancer that is on the other end of the spectrum. We're dealing with detection and screening and the treatment of lung cancer. And it's much better, of course, to prevent lung cancer, tobacco-related diseases to begin with. If you look at the history of tobacco use and lung cancer, for example, in the early 1900s, there was virtually no smoking. And then we started giving cigarettes for free to GIs in World War I and World War II. And about 15 to 20 years later, we saw this exponential spike. It shot up like a rocket, the incidence and mortality from lung cancer. And lung cancer was pretty rare around 1920, 1930 in our country. And because of smoking, we started seeing, of course, more lung cancer. And this peaked around 1990 or so. And then in males, that mortality started to decline. And that's good news. We're starting to see a decline in lung cancer mortality. In females, that decline started around 2005. And that decline didn't happen because of any miracles of modern medicine. It happened because the Surgeon General report came out in 1964, policy changed, tobacco use declined, taxes were put in place, and that advocacy and that policy movement really led to a decline in lung cancer mortality. We know that secondhand smoke is the third leading cause of lung cancer. The first leading cause, of course, is cigarette smoking. The second cause is radon, and the third cause is secondhand smoke. And we've been working really hard to change smoking policy in the state of Kentucky. It's tough work. Yeah, we're in northern Kentucky going city by city. We're now working with Ludlow and Wilder, and I get it. Tobacco smoking is almost inextricably woven into the fabric of our culture here. My grandfather was a tobacco farmer. When I started practice in 1987, we actually had a smoking section in our waiting room that was surrounded by a knee wall, and smoke was billowing out. And we changed that, of course. You can no longer smoke on a plane. We're really working hard to change where you can and you can't smoke in our state as well. And we know that when smoking policy is comprehensive, when you have a comprehensive smoke-free policy, that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. It lowers smoking in youth. It lowers smoking across the board. It lowers lung cancer mortality. If a smoking policy is not comprehensive, you don't see that same benefit. So we are really asking to vote no on issue 211.
Not seeing any hands raised. Looks like we have one. Representative Chester Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question for Mr. Pian. I want to get your name right. Piangettini? Okay.
You can come to the table, please.
Is it my understanding that this passed with Metro Council in Jefferson?
No, ma'am. We have no current cigar bar legislation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I look at this legislation. I was on city council in the Lexington Fayette Urban County government when we passed a no smoking ban in looking to eliminate the effects of smoking in public places in Fayette County. And I have not had a lot of comments from people in Fayette County, except one, my former colleague on city council. And he said, we don't need it in Fayette County. And I think that this is overriding local control, and local control in Lexington Fayette County says that we do not want smoking of any kind in Fayette County. So my vote will be no on this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I believe Representative Doan.
Yeah, I have a question for the sponsor if Chris could come down. As I'm going through the bill, I'm supportive of it. I could imagine a situation where you have maybe a dry county or a local government that would like a less restrictive means than this, would you be amenable to maybe including something in here that if a local government wanted a less restrictive, for example, the liquor license, right? Where we don't have a smoking ban in my city, if somebody would want to open up just a cigar-only bar and not have liquor, would you be open to a local government maybe being able to do something less restrictive?
Yeah, I'm open to a local government making that decision, certainly, yes.
Representative Stalker.
Thanks. My question is for the sponsor. How did you get to the 15% of sales? Did you compare that to other states and what they do if they have local ordinances that are already in place?
Yeah, so 15% was the average of states that we looked at, which I think we looked at about 20 states, and 15% was the average, yes.
Follow-up question, please. Do you, off the top of your head, do you recall what the highest was?
I think the highest was 40%.
Okay. I think you and I talked about that a little bit, and
yes.
I was in favor of it being higher if we were going to do something. Okay. Thank you so much.
Don't see any other questions, so we are ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 211 as amended by the committee substitute as adopted, please vote aye. Those vote no, and we're going to have a roll call vote if the committee assistant could call roll.
Representative Ballman,
Yes.
Representative Bray, Representative Brown,
No.
Representative Chester Burton,
Yes.
Representative Doan,
Aye.
Representative Fleming, Representative Freeland, Representative Griffey,
Yes.
Representative Hampton,
Yes.
Representative Hart, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Yes.
Representative Maddox,
Yes.
Representative Meredith, Representative Neighbors,
Yes.
Representative Raymer,
Yes.
Representative Rorks,
Yes.
Representative Stalker,
I'm going to have to be a no today, unfortunately.
Representative Witten,
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Vote aye. All right, it leaves the motion carries with favorable expression. The bill as amended should pass. Congratulations, Representative Lewis. Next up on the agenda, we have House Bill 160. Representative Witten. Could go to the chair, please. Witten, if you could introduce yourself, any guests that you have for the record.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Susan Witten. I am a state representative for District 31.
My name is Logan Haynes. I'm the executive director of the Kentucky Manufactured Housing Institute.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Flannery, Vice Chair Neighbors, and my fellow committee members for hearing our testimony about House Bill 160 this morning. This past interim, I was honored to be the co-chair of the Kentucky Housing Task Force, the purpose of which was to identify the housing gaps in Kentucky, as well as to try to identify some solutions we could implement on a state level. It was determined that Kentucky has a housing gap of around 200,000 units. These gaps hit all 120 counties. They affect urban, rural, and suburban communities, and the shortages are across all price points. It was clear from the testimony that the demand for housing has far outpaced the production of new supply in Kentucky. And the type of housing needs that we heard the most about, the housing that everyone from city mayors to those at the Kentucky Housing Corporation to the Chamber of Commerce and everyone in between, they all identified that the category of homes we need the most are what we would call starter homes or working class homes. Homes that teachers, that nurses, that factory workers can afford. These are the homes our communities need if we want to continue to grow our economy. There is a saying that houses are where jobs go to sleep at night, and I truly believe that to be true. We can't expect to bring new jobs to Kentucky if there is nowhere to live. And we don't just need more of these types of homes, we need them immediately. Presenters from the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce and the Home Builders Association of Kentucky stated that the cost to build a starter home in the state currently ranges between $260,000 and $400,000. Because of the costs associated with building homes, many low and middle income buyers simply cannot afford to purchase homes. And market dynamics have led to fewer of these types of homes being constructed in recent years. So when I heard the testimony from the Manufactured Housing Institute at a task force hearing, I was excited that this could be a part of the solution. You will hear more from Mr. Haynes in a few minutes about why manufactured housing can be such a viable solution. But right now, I just want to talk about what this bill does and does not do. This bill simply ensures that manufactured housing is treated the same as site-built housing. It should not matter where the house is built as long as it meets the same cosmetic standards enforced for site-built homes. Local municipalities will still be able to enforce cosmetic standards to ensure that manufactured homes match the cosmetic standards of surrounding homes, such as roof pitch, exterior facade, and foundation material. This bill also does not override HOA, deed, or historical preservation restrictions. Manufactured homes can be built in weeks as opposed to months or even years with some site-built homes, and manufactured homes cost much less than their equivalent site-built homes. If we truly want to prioritize home ownership for working-class Kentuckians, while at the same time addressing our housing shortage, ensuring that manufactured homes are treated equally to site-built homes is an important step, and why I urge you to support this legislation. I would now like Logan Haynes with Manufactured Housing Institute to say a few words, and we're happy to answer any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all the committee members. I think it's important to first talk about just the reason that we're here. Representative Whitten touched on a couple of things, but I'd like to just put some data to it. Kentucky Housing Corporation, this is directly off their website, shows that we're 206,000 homes short as of this past year. That number's pretty staggering. It only gets worse, though. By 2029, they're projecting without change, we should be at 287,000 homes short. And there's several reasons for this. One reason, I believe, if you look at the U.S. Census Bureau at homes that are built that are less than 1,400 square feet, you go back to even 2000, it was roughly 15 to 17%. Go to 2020, it was around 5%. And we all know what's happened even since 2020. So builders are simply not building affordable homes anymore. And it's not just affecting the home buyers. It's also affecting businesses. We talk a lot, and you all do a great job of promoting economic growth and attracting new businesses. But in that Kentucky Housing Corporation analysis with the Bowen National Research, they ask employers, have the local housing issues adversely impacted your business over the last couple years? And 55%, yes, they have. And so they asked, well, if we could fix the housing issues, if we could add more homes in your community, would you be likely to add more employees? And 2/3 said yes, they would be likely to add more employees. And so it's affecting all segments of Kentucky. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that the stigma that the manufactured housing industry has was earned. But I can tell you that where the industry is today is not where it was 15 years ago, not where it was 25 years ago. It's drastically different. So I think to do that, we need to look at a couple of terms, what some of these definitions mean. Mobile home, manufactured home, modular home. A lot of people think that these terms are synonymous. Mobile home, there has not been, by legal definition, a mobile home built since 1976. That was pre-HUD code, which HUD stepped in, and they created the first standards for construction. A few years later, they created the first installation standards in 1976. So before that, it was the Wild West. So many of those of you that may have grown up in a quote-unquote trailer or mobile home, you have right to be concerned. I don't like mobile homes either, okay, because that's not what our industry is, and that's what gave this industry a bad rap. Since then, it's been manufactured homes, which, again, is where HUD stepped in and created these guidelines. And so these are federally regulated homes that are inspected multiple times in the factory by federal inspectors at every stage of construction. And then once they're installed, they're inspected by state inspectors. Modular homes are built to the local building code, built in the same factories that manufactured homes are built to. But something that's specific and unique to Kentucky is the definition of a qualified manufactured home. This is something that came about in the early 2000s. This is something that the legislature recognized that there were some significant changes in the industry even back then. And so they wanted to create basically a line in the sand for planning and zoning to be able to adopt this term of a qualified manufactured home, which basically means that it's a home built on or after July 15th of 2002, because that HUD code has been revised, thrown out, revised, redone, amped up, all of those things many times since 1976. And so 2002, there were some significant changes. Has to be affixed to a permanent foundation, so it's got that block skirting around the bottom. Has to be at least 20 feet wide or 2 stories tall. So 20 feet eliminates the single section or single wide homes. Has to be at least 900 square feet. And so I think it's important to talk about what those concerns that people have with manufactured homes and let you know where we stand today. Manufactured homes aren't safe. That's the first one. Well, the number one state in the country for manufactured housing is Florida. What's Florida have that we don't? Hurricanes, right? And you don't hear of entire retirement communities because many of them are manufactured home communities being swept away with hurricanes. That's because those communities have been held to inspection standards for years. Well, it wasn't until 2019 that Kentucky was held to inspection standards, where 100% of the new manufactured homes that are placed in Kentucky are inspected twice by state inspectors. They're inspected at the footer level, so now these manufactured homes all have to be on footers that go down to the frost depth, just like site-built homes, and so they're inspected there, and then there's a final inspection. And so that's a change since 2019, and this is not a burden on local inspectors. All of these are Department of Housing, Buildings, and Construction state inspectors, and there's no exemption, no farm exemption, no community exemption, does not matter. Next, the fact that these homes depreciate used to be the case. However, FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, found in 2018 that manufactured homes appreciate at the same rate as that of site-built now. And so, again, a significant change in what the industry has. And I think it's important to note this is not industry data. This is either federal, state, or independent data. Next is that these homes don't hold up over time, that they fall apart. Used to be the case. The American Housing Survey that was sponsored by the Census Bureau has been taking place since looking at homes since the 70s. And there used to be quite a difference. You can see on the screen there, the kind of purple color is manufactured homes and the orange is site-built.
I believe we have a motion by Representative Baumann. Do we have a second? Seconded by Vice Chair Neighbors. I believe there's still some more testimony from other folks if you all want to continue, and then I'll give other people that have signed up an opportunity to speak.
Thank you. I'll hurry along. There's not much left. You can see this is comparing site-built to manufactured home 10 years later. 10 years after the home has been built and installed, they wanted to see what percentage of the homes were deemed inadequate. And you can see we've actually gone back and forth and are on par with that of site-built. So these homes are performing the same as site-built as far as the durability. Speaks to energy standards. 70 to 75% of the homes in Kentucky that are placed are net zero ready, built to the net zero standard by DOE. The remaining are Energy Star certified, and so they're very, very energy efficient as well. Next is the actual affordability component. The data that was out as of 2024, the average site-built home to be built in the United States was $501,000. 2023, the last date there was for manufactured homes, average was $127,000. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that the days of the mobile home aisle at Lowe's and Home Depot don't exist anymore, because it is the same parts, it's the same inputs, it's the same wall studs, it's the same windows, appliances, you name it. But if that's the case, how can they be more affordable? One, you've got buying power. Okay, Clayton Homes, which is one of the largest manufacturers, built around 65,000 homes in 2023. As a former site builder, a few homes was a good year for me. Who's going to get a better deal on a 2x4? Next, you have the supply chain component. Those manufacturers often buy the window plant. They buy the lumber mill, so on and so forth. So you don't run into as many of the supply chain issues. Next, efficiency. So from the labor standpoint, it's not unlikely to have 20 subs on a site-built home. Well, if the plumber doesn't show up 1 week, that's a week without work. Delays the process and also adds to the cost. Whereas these plumbers, these electricians, these folks work inside of the factory and produce these homes. And so you're able to go through that assembly line process, which increases the speed. And then there's also little to no waste. For a 2,000 square foot home, you'd think about a site-built home, you'll fill up a couple of large dumpsters and have a burn pile that you may or may not supposed to have. Whereas these homes, a 2,000 square foot home, you'll fit every bit of the waste of that home in a 55-gallon trash can. And so all of those things drive down the cost. You think about a hand-built car made by hand in a garage versus a car that's built on the assembly line. What's going to be more affordable? It's common sense. Next big concern is I don't want double wides in my neighborhood. I don't want those single wides in my neighborhood. So I want to just show you a couple of pictures here. One is a site-built, one is a manufactured home. Which one's which? Interior there. See a bathroom there. People say, well, I can't see the interior when I drive by. I want to see what the exterior looks like. Okay, let's look at the exterior. These are HUD code manufactured homes. One is a site-built. Okay, the one on the left is the HUD code manufactured home. This one is important to show, and this is one of the reasons why this bill exists. House on the left is a HUD code manufactured home. The one on the right is a site-built. The one on the left would not be allowed in the neighborhood for the one on the right just because of an outdated stigma. One on the left, this is a Habitat for Humanity house. If you were to have that be built by a for-profit developer, one of my contacts at Habitat for Humanity, it would not be an affordable home based off of the AMI in Kentucky. House on the right, a HUD code manufactured home, would be affordable. House on the left is a site-built home that was affordable based off of the AMI, was flipped, rehabbed, and then when it was sold again, it was not affordable anymore based off of the AMI. House on the right would be an affordable home. And so would it be a double wide? This is what the process looks like, and you can tell me if it's the double wide that you think of. You can see this is concrete that goes down to the frost depth. Granted, that's in Tennessee, so their frost depth isn't quite as deep. But the home does roll in on sections. By law, everything that's used to transport that home, such as the axles, the tongue, all of those things have to come off. So those are no longer on the home once they're installed. Home is moved, set, again, on piers and footers that go down to the frost depth, just like a site-built home. The roof stands up for those that want that higher pitched roof to achieve that cosmetic look. And then it's finished there on site. And so people say, well, I want a stick-built home. Well, this is stick-built. It's just stick-built inside of a factory. Manufactured housing is a process. It is no longer a product. People say, well, I still see that shoebox look driving down the road. Well, there's still a need for that shoebox look, but I encourage you, don't confuse cosmetic appeal with quality. Even the most simple design, one of our most affordable homes, they use 2x6 exterior walls as their minimum. R40 in their ceilings for insulation, R19 in their walls, R22 or R33 in the floors. And so versatility is the key now. So yes, we still have the ability to build that simple shoebox design that you see there on the right, but we also have the capability of building what you see there on the left. And so this bill gives that local authority the jurisdiction to choose which one they're comfortable with. A couple of examples of things where this is being done. Indiana enrolled something that was very similar, actually went a little bit further, that went into effect this past July. So this is being done in other states. Indiana is just the most recent. City of Versailles, which their mayor and city council member is here to speak on this, but they're placed a manufactured home on a city-owned lot. I'll let her tell you a little bit about that. And we've worked a lot with a lot of cities and municipalities around the state. And I can tell you those that are willing to be educated, those that are willing to walk through these homes and see the benefits of them, have little to no issue going back to their municipality and changing their ordinances. Just a couple of quotes from mayors or city council members. Take it from someone who used to build houses. It's as solid as you'll find. I was really impressed with the house. You really don't know it's a manufactured home. It's not a mobile home, like you think of. Next, I want to put a development of these in Douglas Hills. I think it would be so cool, and I wouldn't have to worry about buildings, apartments, that kind of thing. Everybody has true home ownership. Last one, I think that cities will be more accepting when you see a home that's built this well and the quality of the home. We can't site build our way out of this problem. And we're seeing success. Trifecta Research did a study of Kentuckians.
If I can interject here.
Yep.
I want to be mindful of time, so there are some other folks that have signed up to speak. If you could
two more slides.
Finish up with this, and there may be some questions for you.
Yes, sir. Trifecta Research did a study that found that 2/3 of the people in Kentucky would actually even vote for a candidate that would support expanding housing options to manufactured homes. I believe in politics, that's considered a landslide. So misconceptions of this House bill. I think it's important to acknowledge what this bill is not. It does not strip local control. It does recognize manufactured housing as a process and not a product, but it does give local control for that local municipality to dictate cosmetic standards. What that city wants, they can choose, or that county wants, they can choose. And if the industry can build to it, great. If not, that's okay. They can still have a site built there. Will not open the door for double wides. People think of the cosmetic look when it comes to double wides. They have that authority to regulate that look out. Can place a single wide in a nice neighborhood. One, the definition of a qualified manufactured home, and that's all we're talking about here. A municipality can still rule out mobile homes. They can still rule out manufactured homes based off of this bill. This is strictly talking about qualified manufactured homes. And so single wides would not be allowed unless it were a narrow lot. There is a provision for that in the bill. But just the width requirements alone would not allow for it. And again, overriding existing mobile homes, that does not take effect. HOAs, historical districts, developer restrictions, and deed restrictions are not affected by this bill. Thank you.
All right, any comments or questions from committee members? Don't see any. All right, we have a next up. Looks like be J.D. Cheney from the Kentucky League of Cities. If you'd like to come forward. Shelley Hampton, looks like you can come on up if you all want to present jointly.
Yeah, sure.
All right, if you all could introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. J.D. Cheney, Executive Director, CEO of the Kentucky League of Cities.
Shelley Hampton, Director of Government Affairs for the Kentucky Association of Counties.
Please proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman Flannery and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity for us to present on behalf of the Kentucky League of Cities regarding the concerns of our members, their city leaders across the state, and their unanimous board of directors regarding their concerns with House Bill 160 as it exists in its current form. We acknowledge that the bill is in its first stage here of the legislative process, and realize that we, along with other stakeholders, are going to have more opportunities as this bill proceeds to work with the proponents of the bill and others after it passes the committee today and continues through the House floor and the Senate process, and we look forward to working on some additional amendments as it goes forward. Before I point out our reservations regarding the bill in its current form, I'd be remiss if I did not express our gratitude to Representative Whitten, both for having a frank and honest discussion with us about our concerns earlier, but also for her commitment to addressing Kentucky's housing issues. She did an incredible job of co-chairing the Housing Task Force during the interim. We greatly respect her leadership on these issues, where she and co-chair Mills allowed for a full discussion and exploration of ideas to assess the state and our communities to successfully begin to face our housing challenges. You know, one of the ideas presented at the task force explored the role that qualified manufactured housing may have in helping address the housing supply and affordability issues. In principle, we agree that this type of housing has a significant role it can play in this space going forward. In fact, you'll see a quote up there used by a few more mayors than I expected to see, but you'll see a quote in there from the marketing material from KLC's past president, Mayor Mike Hughes of Auburn, that publicly acknowledges its importance and usefulness in his particular city and going forward. However, I hope you also note that Mayor Hughes' quote stops short of endorsing a state-mandated approach that is embodied in the current version of House Bill 160. That's because Mayor Hughes and city leaders across the Commonwealth believe that land use policies that are made through the community planning and zoning process are intimately local in nature. Not only are our cities and counties very different, but neighborhoods within each of those communities are vastly different as well. We believe that a broad-based approach taken by this bill is to strip the ability of local leaders to collaborate with their constituents on designing policies that address their unique needs, and works to impede the ability of local leaders to be responsive on these issues to the citizens that they serve. Planning and zoning always has been a very localized process. In Kentucky, as our local governments have to go through an extensive and rigorous process in developing their comprehensive plan, piecing together zoning maps and zoning text in their codes, and all of these processes require public notice and opportunities for citizen engagement. At its root, we believe that community-based decisions related to land use should remain intact, and that the proponents of the bill should continue to educate local leaders. Many of them have adopted changes uniquely tailored to suit their communities in this endeavor. A one-size-fits-all approach, we do not believe is appropriate that this bill encompasses. In addition, we hope as the bill moves forward after today, after the committee meeting, we can work with members of the General Assembly and the proponents of the bill to address other policy considerations, such as the definition of qualified manufacturing home, to ensure that the legislation encompasses the process, not the product that was referenced in prior testimony. Under the current language, we're not so sure that it doesn't have some unintended consequences with that definition. We also would like to address concerns about the deviation from foundational requirements when it's in conflict with manufacturers' installation specifications. We also want to look at the important role of local government that they must continue to have, and it is acknowledged in the bill. It's stripped from the language of the bill in the land use sphere that serves to preserve and protect property values, and that's eliminated in this legislation as it's currently drafted. And to further limit the exceptions on living area standards required under local ordinance or state statute that would permit variations based on lot dimensions or setbacks requirement. Currently, that language is very broad. We look forward to working as the bill moves through the process. And with that, thank you for your time. I'll yield my balance to Shelley.
Thank you. Committee members, Chairman, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate you on being here as chair of House Local Government Committee. Look forward to working with you. It's always good to see a former locally elected county official at the helm. So congratulations on that, or should I say good luck? I don't know. I know it's tough being a chair. So absolutely. Same to you, co-chair neighbors. Welcome. So thank you all for the time to share the county perspective on this bill today. Representative Witten, I don't know where she disappeared to, but I want to thank her for meeting with us and listening to our concerns. We had a great discussion with Mr. Haynes from the Kentucky Manufactured Housing Institute to better understand that perspective that his members have. Well, I'm here today on behalf of my members, one of which is here, my soon-to-be president, Magistrate Michael Loxton from Oldham County. So I'm here to express their concerns on this version of this bill. It's my understanding that it'll probably be voted out of committee today. We wanted to be here to highlight the county concerns and pledge our commitment to continue working with the bill sponsor in hopes of reaching compromise. Representative Witten, counties watched as you, along with co-chair Mills, led that housing task force over the interim. We appreciated that thoughtful approach and the inclusion of the very broad topics and all housing stakeholders in this very important issue. Counties were part of that discussion, as you all heard from a rapidly growing large county, a smaller emerging county, as well as a county magistrate who is also a realtor in his daily life. All three discussed how housing helps thread that economic development needle, but in a very specific way dependent upon the needs of each community. We agree manufactured homes are an important part of the solution to Kentucky's housing challenges, but they are only one part of a broader strategy needed to address the many factors contributing to the housing crisis. To ensure effective solutions, each community must retain the ability to determine what best fits its needs and goals when it comes to land use and planning. Comprehensive planning is already a requirement for counties with zoning regulations. Under certain KRS, counties must review and readopt their comprehensive plan every 5 years. This addresses major issues relating to the county's future growth, prosperity, and well-being. A plan guides growth and development in the county and outlines strategies centered on public input, so residents' needs and desires essentially shape the future of that community. It also includes an updated land use map showing how an area of aging property could be utilized implementing the plan. Quickly, the issues of concern for our members, on top of what JD has already mentioned, include the following, which we hope to work with the sponsor on after today. With this bill, local governments will be limited to regulation of compatibility standards, though they are limited in scope. This restricts local decision-making in a way that could impact community aesthetics and infrastructure. For example, defining permanent foundations as, quote, those specified as suitable in a manufacturer's installation specifications, as JD mentioned. Similarly, local governments may only require construction materials that are, quote, compatible with surrounding residual structures so long as the materials do not conflict with the manufacturer's specifications. Again, just to reiterate what JD said, the Section 1 of the bill, the very first section of the bill, removed a critical protection, as we see it, for county governments as well as city governments. The affirmation that preserving property values is a legitimate concern and that regulations protecting those values are a proper exercise of local legislative authority. While some of this language is reinstated in the very last paragraph of the bill, it is weakened and less assertive. If it is the intent to argue that manufactured housing does not impact the surrounding property values, then this change seems unnecessary. We appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman, and we'll stop there, and thank you for having us here today.
Yes, sir. I heard that we're up against time. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Introduce yourself for the record, please, and please proceed.
Okay. My name is Laura Dake. I am the mayor of Versailles. My husband told me this morning that I was on the front page of the Lexington Herald Leader. And I said, oh, no, why? And it turns out that there is an article on affordable housing this morning in the paper. So I am quoted in it. And I do say, I don't want to see Versailles turn into one big gated community where either you have to be well off or else you can't afford to live here. And then I say, we're generally not seeing enough homes in the affordable range. That's why we're looking for more solutions. So about a year ago, actually January 24th of 2024, the city of Versailles formed a task force called Housing Affordability and Attainability. And at that meeting, we actually had a presentation from Logan Haynes, who you heard from. And in the minutes, it said, there was lively discussion following his presentation, and the general feeling in the room seemed to be one of interest in looking closer at manufactured housing as a possible solution to the housing affordability challenge in Woodford County. So we are not just here on a whim. We have been studying this issue for over a year. And my colleague Ann Miller and I have been to look at many, many manufactured homes. We're really impressed with the quality and the aesthetics of them. And we actually have language in planning and zoning right now to create those cosmetic or aesthetic considerations that have been talked about, roof pitch, permanent foundation, and so on. So we are in Versailles trying to craft language that would bring more affordable housing to Versailles, but also with the idea in mind that we want to keep things lovely and fitting into the aesthetics that Versailles really insists on. And I will just say one more thing. I know we're up against time here. We talk about letting citizens speak. These aesthetic considerations were done by citizens. Citizens came up with them. And since we built the pilot project on High Street that you saw a picture of, I have received 0 negative comments about it. Everybody that has talked to me has said, the house is beautiful. I would live there. And so we really feel like we're onto something and excited to look at this further in Versailles. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from committee members? I'd just like to briefly comment. Representative Whitten, thank you very much for all your work on this. I know you have put a tremendous amount of work on this, and I do appreciate it. We have a motion and a second on this. If there aren't any questions, we are ready for the vote. All those in favor vote aye. Those against, no. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Ballman?
Yes.
Representative Bray?
Briefly explain my vote. While I do appreciate the intent of the bill, I do have concerns just over the definition of manufactured housing. It seems like a lot of the issues with the bill could be solved if it were changed to modular housing, because truth be told, you can't tell a difference aesthetically or otherwise. But because of that, I'm going to be a no today. Thank you.
Representative Brown?
Brief comment, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. In listening to the comments and looking at the information, my major concern is the elimination of local control in terms of manufactured housing, so my vote will be no.
Representative Chester Burton?
No.
Representative Doan?
May I explain my vote?
Yes.
So I've heard from about I've got 40 city council members that I represent, 6 mayors. I've heard from a lot of them. I'm a yes today, but I do reserve my right to change the vote on the floor.
Thank you.
Representative Fleming?
Explain my vote.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to be a yes, but I would like to the sponsor to work with KLC and KCO to try to work out these differences. And I wasn't aware of all the the concerns from KLC and KCO in regards to those things. So hopefully we can have some type of amendment that will be put forth on the floor to get more of a solid support for this. I think I want to recognize Representative Whitten has been a phenomenal job in recognizing and trying to find some solutions in the housing market, not only in rural but also in the urban area. But I just really strongly encourage that some solutions be made in order to make this a better bill. Thank you.
Representative Freeland.
Briefly explain? Yes. I'm going to vote yes today, and like some of the other sentiments, that I want to make sure that the sponsor and our KLC and KCO are working together to make this the best possible legislation it can be, and I'm confident that will happen. I know in my county alone, in Marshall County, of course, the 2021 tornadoes, we saw firsthand the impact of the inflation and the costs of a new home, of rebuilding a home that existed that was destroyed. It has it forced people to move out of our area, and I want to do all that we can to help alleviate that and to bring more jobs and to bring more houses and homes into our area. But I'll vote yes today.
Representative Griffey.
Yes.
Representative Hampton.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
I'd like to record my presence here in the committee and also record a yes vote for House Bill 11, and I'm a yes on this one.
Representative Imes.
I would like to explain my vote. As the bill is written today, I am a no, but I feel sure that we will be able to address a lot of these problems that have been brought up. Thank you.
Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative Maddox.
Yes.
Representative Meredith. Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rorks.
Yes.
Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chairman Flannery.
I vote aye. Looks like the bill passes.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion carries with favorable expression.
They passed over me quicker than I could get my words
Okay.
out.
I'll give you the opportunity to record your vote.
I also do need to record a yes vote on House Bill 11. And if I could explain my vote on this one.
Yes, sir.
I am going to pass on the bill today with many of the same sentiments that other members have expressed. I think overall what we're trying to achieve here is a good goal. I think some of the wording and the specific language needs to be addressed to make sure that it is where it needs to be. I think specifically removing some of that Section 1 language is problematic because I think it goes further than just addressing this issue and addresses multiple other issues as well. And that needs to be handled as well as some of the technical issues related to this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It appears that the motion carries with favorable expression, so the bill should pass. That was the last bill on the agenda. I know there were some members that were coming in late from another meeting. Anyone that needs to record their attendance or vote, please do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just need to record a yes vote on the first bill presented.
Is that Freeland?
Anyone else that needs to record their attendance or vote? All right. Having no further business before us, do I have a motion and second for adjournment? Motion by Representative Neighbors, second by Representative Bauman. We are adjourned. Everybody's ready to get out. Thank you.